Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're setting up for December in our bullet journals. This is going to be a pretty simple setup, mostly because of how busy December is, at least for me. I know a lot of you probably can relate, but for me, most of this month is going to be centered around Christmas and work. So I still have to do all my Christmas shopping and all of that. So I'm going to do Christmas themed. I think that will get me in the spirit, which will be fun. And feel free to sub that out with any other theme. Majority of this theme is going to be lights, so you can just make them white lights and use them for anything if you don't celebrate Christmas. So I'm showing you some of the supplies that I'll be using, some Tombow dual brush pens, which I'll link down below, along with the colors, and also some mild liner pens, which are a little bit more muted than the Tombow. So I'm just doing brush lettering style faux calligraphy, and I wanted to keep this part kind of slow because I saw a couple of you had recreated my October and November bullet journal spreads, which I thought was amazing. I was so happy to see that. So I wanted to slow it down a little bit for you guys. That way, any of you who are recreating these pages can see it a little bit better. So I just did a couple random accents with my jelly roll pens, just to add a little bit of a metallic touch to the page. I just love these jelly roll pens so much, and it didn't make that much of a difference, so feel free to skip that step if you want, but I just wanted to use everything I had in front of me. So I'm drawing some lights just like swirled around the title, and I sped this up, but none of them are completely consistent. They have different sizes. Try to keep them as consistent as possible, but if you stress it too much, you're gonna get really frustrated because it's very tedious. So I'm just doing like a little sketchy Christmas setup down at the bottom. Nothing's too precise, so don't stress if it's not perfect. Mine's far from perfect. I'm just adding some color just to make it pop a little bit more, but now that I'm looking at it played back, I kind of like it all black. So the lights definitely need some color, I think, but as far as the tree and the presents, if I could go back, I probably would leave it just black like it is rather than adding so much of the color, but it still was fun, and like I said, it's all about getting in the spirit, which this helped me to do. So that at a glance calendar at the bottom in the center really helps as well. I just like having that on the title because otherwise I feel like the title is pretty much useless. So I always like to throw that in on the bottom of the page, and when I don't, I always regret it. So I just did a little stream of simple lights under that, and then I thought that was like framed really well with the Christmas picture beside it. So now I'm actually doing a large calendar. I usually don't do this, but I like this way because I can actually write on it. I have a chalkboard calendar in my house that I write on all the time, so I want to try doing that in my bullet journal. So I went with a big calendar. It is pretty tedious just measuring out the boxes. That's the only frustrating part, but once you do it once, you can use it for reference in future months, which I actually do think I'll continue using this style calendar, but we'll see. It is kind of annoying to write in the crease of the page, but it worked out fine. I'm just doing monthly calendar as a title and then at a glance below that because of course I'm not going to put too much detail into this calendar, but I can put just the key dates and plans just so I can refer back to easily. So I'm just drawing some ornaments on the top right just because there's that empty space there, and I thought it filled it up really nicely. And I'm just doing some short words in there, Joy, Noel, and then drawing some snowflakes on the last ornament, and I thought these were the perfect size boxes. I recommend using a pencil first just because you're going to be upset if you mess up the count. So yeah, I definitely mapped it out in pencil, and it still took me a little while, but yeah, so I'm drawing some more ornaments down at the bottom since I have some blank space down there as well, and then I'll add a little bit of color to it a little bit later. But of course I'm sticking mostly with red and green, just adding some touches of gold throughout as well. So on the side in that blank area, I'm writing plans, dates, or key dates, and reminders, and I will probably fill this in, not too much in depth. I'm just leaving a little bit of space, and that should be perfect for me. I'm just adding some lights underneath of the titles, and I like to mix and match different fonts. I think it looks better when you're looking at the page just to change it up like that, so that's what I'm doing. I did more of a smaller font on the side there, and I like the way that this page turned out. It is very colorful. I wouldn't do it any other month, but for Christmas I thought it came together really nicely, and I'll go back and fill this in a little bit later. It's still a little bit early to be filling it in now, otherwise I would have on camera, but it is November 28th while I'm filming this, a little bit later than normal. I'm just taking my yellow gold Tombow dual brush pen and I'm just highlighting every other line down the page. And the reason I'm doing this is because it helps hide imperfections because my lines aren't exactly straight. Now for this next page, this is a monthly overview page, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, but typically I do write small like this, so I couldn't get a good close-up just because the closer I got, it looked more blurry, so I hope you guys can still see. Feel free to write a little bit larger. Since there's 31 days in December and I had a lot to jam into this page, I wanted to keep the title kind of small. So on the first half of the page, I'm going to be separating it into two columns, personal and business, and this is where I'll also jot down just more detailed notes as opposed to the calendar where it'll be more in general. I'm putting the dates and the weekday down the center of the page just so I don't have to always refer back to the calendar. So I'm just drawing some lights underneath the titles just to make those pop a little bit more. And I'm going in with my yellow, it's like a neon yellow mild liner pen, and just going through the center of the strand of lights. And then using my green Tombow dual brush pen, I'm sectioning that off so I don't get it confused with the other half of the page, which you'll see in a second. I like to mark the Sundays just so I can see where the week begins. With some sort of highlighter, I'm using my red mild liner for that. And then I'm utilizing the other half of the page for a logbook. If you don't know what the logbook is for, then definitely check out one of my previous videos, because the last two videos I did include a logbook with an in-depth explanation of how I use it and what it's for, so definitely check that out. I don't want to be too redundant, but previously I left a lot more room for that, but I wanted to keep it with my monthly overview just because I realized I didn't need quite that much room, and I'll see how this works out and whether or not I want to continue it. By the way, I am so excited to start a fresh year with bullet journaling. The next page is going to be the productivity tracker. I'm doing this in place of a habit tracker or a mood tracker just because I'm going to have a lot going on, a lot to do, and I kind of want to just keep track of everything that I am doing day to day and stay productive. So I haven't seen anyone else do this, but I definitely thought it would be beneficial for me to focus on this as opposed to the mood tracker and the habit tracker. So I'm just drawing little ornaments on the right hand side of the page, and I'm writing little sayings in it such as errands, chores, and hustle just as motivation, and on the bottom right hand corner I'm writing hard work pays off. And as far as this, it's once again hard to see the lettering up close, but I'm just going in with my black Tombow dual brush pen and darkening the downstrokes to make it a little bit easier to see. So after I add just some final touches with my Jelly Roll pen and the title, then I'm done for this month. This is the last page that I'm doing. I'm not sure, depending on how busy I am, I might go back and add some more pages later on. But for now, I just wanted to stick with what's realistic for me to keep. But I am really pleased with how these spreads came out. I think it is very visually appealing, and it does get me in the spirit of the holiday, and also it is useful to me in my life right now. Make sure you include spreads that are useful for you, because otherwise it becomes a chore to fill out your bullet journal, and it should be a fun experience. Hopefully I gave you some ideas and got you motivated to do your own bullet journal. If you do recreate these spreads, definitely tag me on Instagram and subscribe to my channel, because I will definitely be uploading more of these. So I hope you guys will stick around. Leave me a comment down below and like this video if you did enjoy it. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you in my next video.